Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today with the next session in the Alpha Wolf Personal Development and Expansion series. So, this session is all about understanding language of empowerment and how to create language of empowerment within yourself. So, an important thing to understand when we're thinking and talking about language of empowerment is this concept or idea of self-validation. This is not arbitrary language that 90% of the people or all the experts say is empowering language, blah, 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 insert bullshit. Language of empowerment is language that personally empowers you, that makes you feel connected to your emotion and the meaning behind that language. So we're understanding the importance of connecting to the language. That is where the empowerment comes from. It doesn't come from the language. There's no, if I say this, this is what will happen. So it's not like to say, if I say only ever positive things happen to me, because the meaning is not external to us. There is no external meaning in life, just like there is no external truth in life. Now, we're not talking about science and we're not talking about mathematics and blah, 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 all of that. Okay. You can argue that there's universal truth in mathematics, there's universal truth in binary and this, that, and the other. That's cool. We're talking about the individual. Okay. So we understand that meaning is only ever created within me, just like truth is only ever created within me. Okay. I bring the meaning and truth to my life, just like you bring the meaning and truth to your life. This is very important because if we go down the road of the bullshit of the 90% of the mainstream society, cool, go be with them. If you don't want to go be with the mainstream of society and live the exact same lives as them, only thinking that you live this one life and this is your only shot at life, and there's arbitrary meaning in life, and that your meaning means jack shit compared to their meaning, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So we're talking about understanding individual experience, my experience of the language that I use, my experience of the meaning that I give that language, my experience of the emotions that language draws out of me. Do you notice how I didn't say anyone else? Because no one else matters. Do you sort of get it? When I'm thinking about my internal dialogue, it doesn't matter what Tom, Dick, and Harry down the street think. Why? Because they don't fucking live up here. So we understand that, okay? That it's very important that we do not try and curate our internal dialogue based on what other people think, believe, and feel is real in the world. It doesn't really matter. Do you sort of get it? If you think I'm full of shit, it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? To you, I'm full of shit. To me, I'm speaking truth. Do you sort of get it? There's no, I'm not right, you're not right. There's no hierarchy. To me, I'm right. To you, you're right. Do you sort of get it? It doesn't really matter. It's one of the beautiful things about life is all meaningless in I can live my life feeling like every action, every step I take is meaningful and my life is profound and has so much meaning. But to someone who has never experienced my experience of life through my eyes and my interpretation, it all looks like meaningless action. Do you sort of get it? And it's not to say one is right and one is the other. It's to say that to me it's meaningful. To that observer, it's meaningless. And that's the cool thing about life is this understanding and acceptance that it doesn't really matter. We're not out to convince people that I'm right and you're wrong. All right. So we got that out of the way. Now we can get into the fun stuff of understanding the language. So an important thing is whatever language you choose as being language of empowerment for you becomes language of empowerment for you when you introduce belief. If I believe the words I say empower me, irrespective of the words I say, they empower me. Isn't that funny? So it's a really funny thing that if I believe the language I say or I use within myself empowers me, it empowers me. If everyone else thinks that I'm crazy, it doesn't really change the fact. If I believe it empowers me, it empowers me. So we understand this important thing that belief is not rational. We can try and argue about how rational it needs to blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. Okay. When I believe something to be true, it becomes true. Now, this isn't to say that I say I can fly and then I jump off a 30-story building, because that's me trying to change the environment, the external environment. We don't control the external environment. Okay, so when we understand what I'm saying about belief, it's only ever applied to the internal environment, not the external environment. If I believe that the sky is green, the sky doesn't change its color to be green. I can convince my eyes that I see green, and then I will see green through conditioning and brainwashing, but that's different. I'm not influencing the external environment. So, for example, if I use positive language that makes me feel positive and I feel and focus on my external environment about positivity, my external environment will become positive to me. It does not mean that my external environment becomes positive, it becomes positive to me in my perspective. Do you sort of get it? We're not influencing external. We're not influencing the external environment. We only ever have control over the internal environment. And this is very important because when we understand this, we start to understand how to take control of our mind and our life and use our mind to manifest whatever we want in life. If I believe the actions I take are powerful actions that lead to exactly what I want, then I feel like every action I take is powerful, leading to exactly what I want in life. Does it mean the external environment will look any different? No. Do you sort of get it? By me wanting and wishing that there's no violence in the world, it doesn't change the fact that someone can make a decision to take actions of violence. Do you sort of get it? Like, we're not trying to influence and suppress other people and overrule other people to where it has to be this way. So we just understand when we're doing anything to do with personal development, it is internal to us, never external. While when I alter and increase my personal inner development, my external alters and shifts to reflect that. My external environment has no changes. Okay. Now, this isn't to say that, we can't change our external environment. If people around me are negative, talking down to me, tearing me down, and I create positive empowerment language within me and empowerment within me and develop my person, I change the environment by walking away. I don't try to force those in the environment to become what I want them to be. Do you sort of get it? We drop the ego. The ego is the one that needs others to believe what I believe before I believe it to be true. So it's very important when we talk about anything about personal development, self-validation is one of the core foundations because it doesn't matter what other people think. Should I try to choose and curate my language of empowerment, yet I want to validate that language externally, I have to convince everyone I meet that the language I use is empowering and they have to agree with me. Otherwise, the power of that language ceases to be. When I validate myself internally, I only ever need myself to agree that that language is empowering for me to feel the empowerment of that language. So, however you want to do it is your way of doing it, but I would strongly suggest never validate externally because that's giving your power to others. And what I've personally learned is others will tear you down so you may not rise above them. Just know that. All right. So when we're jumping into the language, building language of empowerment is building our self-belief. Do you sort of get it? We're building up language that makes me believe that I'm a good person, that makes me believe that my actions are good, that makes me believe that if I talk positively to myself with language that I find to be personally positive, I feel positive. We're bringing up that belief that if I talk positively, the end result equals me feeling positively. Does it mean it's true? Who knows? From my experience, it is true. Whatever we choose to believe becomes truth in our life. Okay, so this is very important when we're choosing our language of empowerment. How do we want to create the meaning and emotion associated to it? So, with my language of empowerment, how do I want to feel when I use that language? What is the meaning behind me using that language? When I'm trying to do something I've never done before and I'm feeling self-doubt, and I say to myself, you can do this. What is the meaning behind it? What is the emotion I want to feel when I say to myself, you can do this? Because the language doesn't really hold any power. Like, can do what? What can I do? Do you sort of get it? Like, the language doesn't really mean anything. It's the meaning and the emotion that creates that power behind the language. Just to the same, when I say you're not good enough, the language doesn't really mean anything. Like, what does you're not good enough mean? Does it mean you can't do it? Does it mean you're worthless? Does it mean this and that? It's the meaning and the emotions that create the power, positively or negatively, to the language we use. Language of empowerment is language that makes me feel positive, that makes me feel like I can do anything, that makes me feel good about who I am. The language is interchangeable. It's the associated meaning to that language and the associated emotional responses we want to invoke with that language. So, what is the meaning of you can do this? Is the meaning behind you can do this that you have the power to do, learn, become anything that you want? What is the emotion associated to it? Is it that you feel good about yourself, that you're allowed to be happy, joyous, empowered? So we understand that what we are trying to do when we create language of empowerment is we are trying to create associated meaning and emotional states. So the more positive my emotions in terms of the more happy and excited I am in life, the more creative I become, the more empowered I become to believe I can do this. Do you sort of get it? Like the language doesn't mean anything on its own because it's just words. Now, many will say, and I also believe words have power. They do have power, but not on their own. The words we say are 1/3 of the equation. If I have 6 times 19, that means something. If I have 6, what is 6? Is it times? Is it divide? Is it minus? Is it plus? Do you sort of get it? If I only have one number in the equation or one element of the equation, it means nothing. Like, is 6 the end goal? So, for example, should I say you can do this and there's no meaning or emotion associated to it? Like it's an incomplete formula. It doesn't make sense. Like, what can I do? Like, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to overcome? Do you sort of get it? So we got to understand that the language is a trigger to the meaning and the associated emotions that we want to feel, because essentially that's what we want to feel. That I say, you can do this, and then I feel empowered and embodied and happy, yet all of this. Like I'm not saying it to hear it said. Do you sort of get it? I'm saying it to trigger the emotional response. That's what we're all trying to do. Does it sort of make sense? So remembering this, that we need the 3 parts of the equation. Why do we need the 3 parts? The language is a conscious trigger. The associated meaning is the link between the language and the emotional response we want to feel. Do you sort of get it? The feeling or the emotional response is what we're seeking. It's the answer to what we want. When I feel self-doubt, what am I seeking? Self-belief. I'm seeking to feel empowered, to feel embodied, to feel confident. All of these, like insert whatever you want to feel, the emotional state. So we understand that language is the easiest way for us to consciously alter our emotional states. But the important aspect is the language doesn't release the emotion. It doesn't. Say you're beautiful. See how it makes you feel. Without the meaning of beautiful and that use of language to you, it's meaningless. It's just a word. So we have to create the associated meaning. So what if we were to say, you are beautiful? What are we trying to say to ourselves? What is the meaning behind that? Is that you're good enough? Is it that, you know, you're beautiful as you are? Like, what is the meaning? Because that meaning will trigger the emotional response. If I say you are beautiful to myself, and then the meaning of that is you are good enough, what is the emotional response that's going to be triggered by me saying to myself, you are good enough? Do you sort of get it? The feeling of contentment, the feeling of joy, of happiness, of love for myself. Do you sort of understand? It's very important because when we understand this, that it's the associated meaning that is the link on its own, it doesn't mean anything. Just like the emotion doesn't mean anything on its own. If I feel happy and I don't know why I'm happy, it holds less meaning than when I feel happy and I know exactly why I'm happy. Why? Because if I feel happy and I don't know why I'm happy, it's non-replicatable. I can't replicate it. I don't know how I got to this state. Do you know what I mean? It's like most people in life seek happiness in life. Have you ever been happy in life? Do you sort of get it? Like you've already achieved it. Why are you still seeking it? Because we don't understand how we achieved it, so we can't replicate it. When I understand, for example, that running and jogging releases the endorphins that make me feel happy and good about myself, all I have to do is go and run if I want to feel good and happy about myself. Do you sort of get it? Like we've all experienced love. We've all experienced feelings of empowerment, confidence, belief, this, that, and the other. Like it's nothing new. Yet we create illusions that it's outside of our control in this life to feel it. Does this make sense? When we understand the importance of replicating it at will, when I can make myself happy and joyous at will, I'm now a happy person. No matter what happens to me in life, all I need to do is replicate that happiness and joy, and I can do it. Just to the same, if I know how to make myself angry and aggressive, should I need to be angry and aggressive, I can replicate it. Do you sort of get it? Like, we all know how to make ourselves angry and aggressive. Focus on what we don't like in this world. Like, an easy way to see this is just go and watch some news for 2 hours and see how you feel emotionally. Do you sort of get it? Go watch them talk about corruption. Go watch them talk about all the vile aspects of the world, the rape, the murder, the killing, all of these bad things. Go and focus in on that and see how it affects your emotional state of being. Do you sort of get it? It's really important to understand this because either we take control of the emotional states we seek in life, or we seek the emotional states in life we don't want to. Do you sort of get it? If I don't take control of being able to put myself in happy and joyous and empowered and confident states of being and emotional states, then what happens? Like, what happens? I am a slave to my compulsion. Should I want to feel better about myself, I'll go and I'll eat junk food. I'll eat sugary food. I'll follow my cravings. I'll drink alcohol to make myself feel better about myself. Do you sort of get it? Very important to get this. We either dictate the way in which we feel things in life, or we have it dictated to us by our compulsive behaviors and our compulsive nature. It's very important because when we're trying to change any aspect of our life, this is how we do it. We take control of the narrative, the meaning of that narrative, and the emotions that that narrative invokes. Do you sort of get it? So should I be, for example, overweight and I have like, let's say, like health issues because I'm overweight and I want to work out and I want to get healthy, but every time I eat negative food, I tear myself down and say, you are pathetic, you are this, you are that. Like I'm only feeding that negative emotion within me. So I feel negative. What do? Well, my compulsive behavior will seek comfort. Where does it seek comfort from? From serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. If I don't have any personal connections in life, I can't get oxytocin. If I'm not doing anything with my life, dopamine's hard to get naturally. If I'm not enjoying or happy within myself, serotonin's gone. So now I have to create artificial ways of getting that. The easiest way to do that is through either drugs, food, alcohol, which to argue any one of them is different to another is bullshit. Food is drugs, Drugs are drugs, alcohol's a drug. They're all drugs. Like a drug is just something that we use to create a certain chemical reaction within our brain. Do you sort of get it? That's why addiction's not real. Not to say people don't suffer addiction, but addiction's all mental. It's when we avoid the things that make us feel negative in life, we seek comfort through things that release the chemicals that our brain craves. Like, do you sort of get it? So, in that same scenario, if I'm overweight and my health is bad and I give in to all these negative compulsions or compulsions that, you know, may feel good in the moment, but they don't feel good later on. I.e., if we go and shoot up heroin, it may feel good in the moment when we get that rush, but the negative side effects of it, the, the need for it, the antisocial behavior, so to speak, you know, how much it costs and needing to fund it, not being able to focus on work, like all these different things. Like, do you sort of get it? That's addiction. The addiction is when I need something to trigger my emotional state or my biochemical state. So, our biochemical state is the physical representation of our emotional state. If I feel like I've accomplished something, my biochemical state dumps dopamine. If I feel happy and joyous within life, my biochemical state dumps serotonin. If I feel connected, like I have heaps of friends and, I got that love of my life and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? It'll dump oxytocin. Do you sort of get it? Like our biochemical state within our mind and our body is a representation physically of our emotional state of being. Our emotional state of being is a reflection of the meaning that we put to things. Should me saying you are good enough or you can do this means that I'm allowed to feel confident and happy and empowered, my emotional state will be one of confident, happy, and empowered. And I'll feel confident, happy, and empowered. And then my brain will release the chemicals in association with that. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, that's how it works. So when we understand this, we understand that language of empowerment is simply keys to doors of feeling certain ways, of emotions, of biochemical responses. Do you sort of get it? So should my language always make me feel negative, like saying like you're not good enough, you're worthless and all of this? I am unlocking the door to feeling like shit, to feeling less than. And what happens when I feel less than? I feel depressed, I feel sad, I feel lonely, I feel, not good enough. I feel all of this. And then the associated emotions create the biochemical responses. Do you sort of get it? It's really important to understand this because it's in the simplest way. Should I choose to only ever open positive doors in my life, in my mind, with those keys of empowerment, I only ever feel positive in my mind, in my life. Should I only ever choose to open negative doors that make me feel less than and non-empowered and disempowered? That's the word, disempowered. But should I always only ever choose to open these negative doors? Like, if I'm only ever feeling negative emotions, what happens? My biochemical responses will only ever be stress, will only ever be, these negative emotions of loneliness, sadness, which I don't know exactly the chemicals that are released in loneliness, but I would associate it as being stress hormones, of feeling lack, of feeling like I don't have it. And what does this do when we talk about frequency? If I'm always having a pity party for myself, feeling bad, low, sorry for myself, disempowered, and all that, would you want to be around me if I'm sitting there having a one-man pity party, dancing on my own, like that song goes? But do you sort of get it? Like, am I attractive if I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself? Do you want to be around me? Am I fun? Is it enjoyable to be around me? No. So do you want to be around me? No. Why would you? Like personally, I don't. When people have pity parties, I'm just like, I don't want to be around you. So I walk away. Like I don't have anything to say to you. I don't want to join in on your pity party. It's like the victim mindset. When people start acting like a victim to their life and their circumstances and their bodies and all of this, it's sort of like at a certain point in time, like we have to change our mindset and attitude to change our life. Should I always want to see that I am a victim to my physical ability? Like, what does this mean? Do you sort of get it? Like me personally, I don't feel sympathy for people that are victims of their life and their circumstances. Like, because it's sort of like you're choosing that. Like there are people throughout history who have had their arms cut off. Like we can see it in like war survivors, soldiers that come back from war and have their limbs blown off. People that go through extreme situations where they lose their limbs. And we can see them. Some of them stand there and they're literally just a torso. There's a fella that's was born that way with deformities, and he's literally just pretty much a torso. Like he doesn't have limbs like you or I. Yet he's not a victim to his life. He created empowerment and meaning throughout his life, regardless of his circumstances. And then there are people who are in perfect health and victims to their circumstances. If one small thing goes wrong in life, their life is ruined. Do you sort of get it? Like, who would you rather be around? Someone who chooses to feel inspired by everything that's been taken from them in life, or someone that chooses to feel disempowered should things not go their way? Do you sort of get it? Like, it's a funny thing because this is what happens when we don't use language of empowerment or create language of empowerment or even understand the process of language of empowerment. We create language of disempowerment. It didn't go my way. I can't do this. Why did this happen to me? Like, it's sort of to understand this and how I understand this is if you were in the trenches on the front line and you had two people with you, and one of them sitting there scared that they're about to die, and I don't know how I'm going to survive the next 24 hours. I'm freaking out. They're huddled down and they're hiding and they're just trying to survive. And the other person is empowered and looking out and knows I create my survival in this situation. Like, who do you want to be with? Do you feel safer with the disempowered person who's huddling up, crying, hyperventilating because they can't cope with the environment they're in? Or do you want to be with the person who's proactively ensuring their safety in that environment? It doesn't mean one is going to survive longer than the other, but who do you want to be around? Fear spreads like a virus. Should you give in to the fear of life, it will infect you and you will infect everyone you meet. We've all seen those people in life, those people that are afraid of everything, so fearful, so negative, so bitter. Life has taken things from them, so they take everything from everyone else. It's weakness. To live a disempowered life, to use disempowered language and disempowering language, creates weakness within us. Weakness creates corruption. So, in that same circumstance, should that person cowering have the opportunity to sell you and your friends out for survival? Do you think they're going to have honor within themselves to not do that? Do you think, should your position come under attack, that they're going to stand there and help you defend it? The first second they get, they'll cut and run. Not to say there's anything wrong with that person as a person, but when we give in to disempowerment, it erodes everything within us. When I fear for my life, I become susceptible to corruption. Like, does this make sense? Fear creates corruption because I seek to find the root out of here. How do I survive this? How do I get out of this? Should you offer me a chance to survive and live another day? And it's just the small price of giving up two people. My life is worth more than two people. Do you sort of see? This is how disempowerment affects and corrupts us. We can see it in all aspects of society. We see that negativity in terms of giving into negative victim mindset and all of these different labels, if you want to call them that, whatever they are. I just call them all weakness, weakness of character. We either have the choice in life. We can be honorable and honor our values in life, or we can be weak and we can corrupt our values in life. Should I say, I do not steal, and then I'm hungry, so I steal? Am I honorable or am I weak? Do you sort of get it? It doesn't matter the fucking circumstances. Should I say stealing is not something that I do? Should I be dying of hunger and given the opportunity to take food from a child? I would rather die than touch that food. For my honor dictates I will be the one to die, not that child. Do you sort of get it? Like, everyone can argue whatever bullshit they want in life, but I know weakness. Do you sort of get it? Anyone who ever goes back on their word, not to say that you can't change your mind and this, that, and the other, but if you say my value in life is I do not steal, I do not prey on the weak. Should I ever see you prey on the weak? I see you. I remember. Do you sort of get it? Like, I know who you are. It's weakness. Do you sort of, does it make sense? Like, it's not just fanciful words. Should you take weak actions in life, actions that erode who you are in life? You disempower yourself. Should you take actions in life that align to your values? You empower yourself, even if it means your death. Do you sort of get it? So when we understand this, we just understand that it's the meaning behind everything that creates the emotional response. Should I have an apple, yet I haven't eaten for 3 days? And a kid walked past and he hasn't eaten today. And I give that apple to that kid. Do you think I feel hunger still? Like, honestly, do you think that I'm still feeling hunger? Do you think that it's worrying me that I haven't eaten for 3 days? No, that's the important thing to remember is that strength is not physical ability. Strength is endurance, what you're able to endure. That's why the bullies are the weakest people, because all of their strength is in either their physical or mental ability. Should you be a master manipulator and I walk up and start punching you in the head, you will cower before anything. You will not stand back up and fight me. Should you be put all your like value and worth in your strength and hold that strength over other people? Should I walk up behind you and choke you and get on your back and start choking you out? You will try. But if I can endure the pain that you can put out, your mind will crumble before my body breaks. So we just understand that these aren't fanciful ideas, honor, like strength, courage, all of this. It's not fanciful. This is the shit that allows you to push further, go harder, to endure more in life than anyone can ever endure. You sort of get it? The language we use, the meaning that we assign to that language creates the emotional responses we feel. Our emotions override any physical sensation that we feel. Should I create the meaning of my body breaking as being the most pleasurable experience that I ever feel? And I believe it to be 100% true. As my body breaks, I feel euphoria of pleasure. Do you sort of get it? Like it's not words. It actually happens. This is how malleable the mind is. This is how much little we understand about reality, is that the mind is more powerful than the environment or situation that we're in. When I believe things to my core, and I believe that every time my arm snaps, it feels pleasurable, I can override the fear. I can override the negative emotions. And as my bones snap, I feel senses of pleasure. Why? Because my body doesn't understand the feeling of my bones snapping. Like, do you sort of get it? If I walk up and punch a tree, I don't know what that feels like. My brain is just creating sensations from stimulation. So if I tell myself that that feeling is pleasurable and I just do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, and I keep doing it, after a while, I will become brainwashed to it feeling pleasurable. This is what the military does. Do you sort of get it? This is what brainwashing does. That's essentially what we're doing in life when we reprogram our mind, is we take our mind from being brainwashed by the events and circumstances and those around us to it now being brainwashed by us to whatever we want in life. And that's an amazing thing because then the world becomes limitless. Like many people throughout history have done impossible feats. Many. Yet a lot in life cannot survive the most minor setbacks, like not eating for 2 weeks. Like they say that we can go 3 weeks without food before we die. It's not true. At a certain point in time, what happens is your body first, after lack of food, starts to eat the fat. When the fat's gone, then it starts to eat the muscles. When the muscles are gone, then it starts to eat the organs. That's what kills you. Do you sort of get it? Majority of these people who think that they're going to die if they go a day or two without food, could probably go a couple of months without food. Do you know what I mean? Like, all you have to do is look at somewhere like North Korea, look at Africa, where famine and, food insecurity and all of that, like, this isn't to say that that's a positive situation, that food insecurity and famine. No, because it underdevelops people's brains, it underdevelops their bodies, their potential, all of this. It does damage and can damage their organs irreversibly. But it's just to understand that many in life do not understand what the human body is capable of, what the human mind is capable of. The human mind is capable of so much more than we understand. So it's very important to understand that the language I use in life, if I want to be a pompous asshole and say, I use positive language, so my life is positive, whatever. The language doesn't matter. I can use negative language and assign positive meaning to it and then get a positive emotional response. I can use negative language and assign negative meaning to it and get negative emotional responses. I can use positive language and assign positive meaning and get positive emotional responses. The meaning equals the response by our emotional states of mind and states of being. The language doesn't mean shit. So all these people that go out there and say these affirmations and blah, 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 blah. They say in the mirror, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful. Without the meaning of what that means, it means nothing. You'll get nothing out of it. So when we're creating and curating our language of empowerment, it's vital that we understand the language is a trigger, the meaning is so the language triggers the meaning triggers the emotional response. The emotional response triggers the biochemical response, which is the sensations that we feel. When I feel happy, yet I feel excited and I feel energized, that's the fucking biochemical response that makes me feel excited and energized. Do you sort of get it? Like it's not the feeling, it's not the emotion of being joyous. If I'm happy, I can feel drained. If I'm happy, like the emotion doesn't do jack and shit. Do you sort of get it? Like these are just triggers. Because essentially what we want is we want the alter in our biochemistry, because the alter in the biochemistry gives us this sensational experience of feeling happy. Because at any point in time, I can say to myself, you're happy. Do I feel happy? I've told myself I'm happy. I agree with myself that I'm happy. I'm not angry. I'm not sad, but I don't feel anything. Why? Because biochemical responses. I don't have a dump of serotonin. Someone walks up to me and gives me $100,000 and says, "Here you go." And then I feel ecstatic. I don't know why I feel ecstatic. They've just given me all this money. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, I haven't told myself I'm happy beforehand. I'm all of a sudden happy. I'm feeling happy. Why? Because of biochemical responses. My biochemistry has changed. I'm getting dumps of serotonin, this, that, and the other. Like, do you sort of get it? So it's very important to understand this because when we understand the way in which it works and how it happens, and we understand that if I want to influence my biochemical responses, other people's opinions don't mean jack and they don't mean shit. Other people's thoughts of what should be, how should be, doesn't mean anything. You can allow yourself to believe that if everyone is in agreement with you, what you say is true. Or like me, you can just understand everyone's full of shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, very few people are a mechanic for the mind. Like, do you sort of get it? Most people don't enter or explore their mind because they're afraid of the darkness within it, because they only ever want to see themselves as positive and light and all of this. Like, to go to hell, you have to make peace with the devil. Like, do you sort of get it? To come back from hell, you have to let go to the devil. That's it. Do you sort of get it? If I don't make peace with the devil and I take myself into the darkness within me, I will try and fight it and it will overcome me. If I allow it to become me and I hold on to it as being a part of me, I can never leave it. Should I want to leave it, I have to make peace with it. I have to let go. Do you sort of get it? Like, does that make sense? I have to let go to the devil to leave hell. I have to let go to all the negative bullshit that I tell myself in life to leave the hellscape of my mind. Should I be telling myself I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that, I'm fat, I'm weak, I'm this, I'm that? Like, how am I ever going to get over depression and anxiety and this and that? Should I hold on to the fear of other people attacking me? How am I leaving hell? Every time I step outside, every time there's people around me, I look around and I'm back in hell. How did I get here? Do you sort of get it? Like, it's not difficult. When I make peace with the devil, I'm accepting that I am the negative in my life that I seek to abolish. Therefore, it's within my control to abolish it. Should I make peace with it and let go to it? I don't need to hold on to the negative. Should someone drag me into hell? This is where I've lived my entire life. I don't mind being in hell. Do you sort of get it? I'm not somewhere I'm unfamiliar. I have many friends in hell. Do you sort of get it? I'm not alone in hell. Like, does this make sense? When we're exploring the mind, we have to accept the darkness within us and accept it is me. Should I choose, I can become Hitler. For we all have that power within us to create such levels of hate and anger to exterminate a people. Look at the Israelis now with the fucking Palestinians and tell me that Hitler was a unique person in this world. They don't have gas chambers. Still killing innocent people and trying to take them from their land. Like, what's the difference? It's just killing in a different way. I'm not saying that anyone in these situations is right or wrong. It doesn't matter. But we just have to understand that hell and that darkness and that evil in the world is within all of us. And we can pretend like it's not. But those who avoid the evil within tend to create evil outside of them. It's easy. All you have to do is observe them. Observe the people with false virtue. And you can tell false virtue. False virtue looks like someone who doesn't look at the darkness within them, someone who doesn't admit that I am the devil. They think I am an angel. My deeds could never be bad. My deeds could never hurt anyone. Should my deeds hurt someone, it's their own fault because they're a bad person. Look at all the religions. They're so fun to pick on religions because they're just so hyper fucking critical. Like it makes it too easy, like the fucking Catholic Church and their pedophilia and then covering up pedophilia. Like the Muslims and their hatred of other Muslims, their hatred of Christians, their hatred. Like, do you sort of get it? Like the Christians and their hatreds of gays. Like it's all just this, that, and the other. Like, for example, I'll give you a funny one. So Christians believe abortion's murder and all life is valuable, yet they support fucking wars with murder and killing. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, we have to kill them so they don't come over and kill us. So it's okay to kill them. Like, if you're out there and you're saying that abortion's wrong and it's murder and we have to value life, it's all life, not just fucking your life, not just the life you want it to be. Like, everyone talks all this shit about, you know, being like fucking that life is valuable and that we're these sentient beings and we're blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, we kill animals in inhumane ways. Do you sort of get it? There's nothing wrong with killing animals. But when we do it in inhumane and disrespectful ways and we don't respect the life that is giving for our sustenance, we are a fucking hypocrite. Like it's so fun because they're so easy and they can say this, that, and the other, and all of this. Like the majority of people who are religious aren't bad people. But as soon as we say that killing unborn babies is wrong, yet killing children in collateral damage of war is acceptable, that is where it becomes wrong. That is where we become the hypocrites of religion. And it's so fun because they're so fucking easy. Do you sort of get it? Like, I don't think killing people is a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing. But should someone walk up to me and attack me and try and take my life, I'm going to take their life before they can take my life. You sort of get it? It's not a right or a wrong thing. If I choose that I want to survive, well, am I going to let someone else kill me? No. Do you sort of get it? Like, FYI, I am no pacifist. I do not believe in peace. It's not part of our nature. We can choose it to be a part of our nature and we can live in peace if we want. But hypocritical, I can't say the word, but fucking hypocrites that say that they want peace and yet they go out and propagate war, propagate anger and hatred within the communities. Like, we don't want to be those people. So we accept if I give in to the darkness within, I have the potential to become Hitler. We all do. We all have the potential to become the worst people in this world that have ever lived throughout history. Should we choose that we don't want to do that, we have to accept the darkness within and choose that it does not rule me. I've made peace with that darkness, but that darkness does not have control. Let go to the darkness so that I don't feel a need to kill those who want to kill me. You sort of get it? Like Jesus. Look at Jesus. People threatened his life, they threatened to kill him, yet he did not seek vengeance on them. Do you sort of get it? He walked the talk. He didn't just say that this was the right way and that these are the holy people, like all these bullshit cunts fucking say. Like he wasn't a Christian. He wasn't fucking Jewish. He created his own religion because he spoke directly to fucking God. Like, do you sort of get it? Like all this bullshit about how Christian against Muslim, Christian against Jew, Catholic against Christian, Catholic against Protestant, blah, blah, blah. Like, name one person that he seeked vengeance on. Name one time that he used any of those religious denominations. Did he walk around and say, I am Jesus of Christianity? I am Jesus of Catholicism? I am Jesus of Judaism? Makes me laugh. They're such fucking hypocrites. But it's an important thing. So we understand. Other people are all full of shit. Don't listen to them. Listen to what's inside you. Make fucking peace that you have the potential to drag people into the depths of hell, just like you drag yourself into the depths of hell. Do you sort of get it? We all have that potential. We have all experienced hell in our own way. If you ever want to get out of hell, it's easy. Make peace with the devil and then fucking let go and try and bring the devil back with you. It's never going to go your way. What that means is, should I give in to the negative and take negative actions and go out there and kill and murder people? I am going to tear my psychological structures apart to the point where I destroy who I am, who I want to be in this life. Look at the soldiers who come back from war and ask them, did they enjoy war? Did they enjoy killing? Did they enjoy the violence? Did they enjoy all the negative things? Did they enjoy their dance with the devil? Did it make them feel good about themselves? Do they feel good about themselves now? There is a very big difference between someone who goes to war for honor, someone who goes to war for vengeance and hatred. It only breeds more. So don't give in to it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. And I love ranting about the religions because they're fucking full of shit on everything. But I hope we didn't get too sidetracked. I hope you enjoy this one. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.